Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Thriving Families Africa Summit. This is a series of real, grounded conversations on parenting and family well-being. And this is happening during the Mental Health Month. So I'm glad that you're here watching because today's conversation speaks to a reality that many families are navigating, and that is parenting teenagers across cultures, parenting teenagers across expectations, and across very different worlds. I am joined by Coach Florence Gichuhi. Gichuhi, I said it the right way, right?
Yes.
Florence is a certified life coach for parents and teens, and she has over 21 years experience in homeschooling. So, Florence, it's really good to have you here. Karibu sana, and thanks for saying yes to this conversation.
Asante sana. Thank you so much for having me. I am honored and looking forward to our conversation. It's been a while since we spoke.
I know it's
Yeah, I know both you and I do the same work, and I'm glad you're doing it there, because, that's home
yeah.
and you're making a difference. I like that.
Thank you. And also thank you for the great work you're doing in the diaspora. It's a very unique population. And, it makes sense. You've been through the journey, and so you offer that services. So maybe that's where we can start, just with you, how
Yes.
you came into this work and what it is about your journey has shaped to what it is that you do now.
So I like to tell this story how I came to this work that a while back, a friend of mine was called to go fix a mutual friend's computer. And the reason that he found the computer was corrupted because of what was happening when the mom and the parents were out of the house. The teenager was on pornographic sites and, where they should not be.
Mm.
And I saw that as a signal of what was missing. I did not do anything about it. We just talked about it and, let it go. And then years later, I started seeing a pattern of things that, the parents are here, the teenagers here, although they're living in the same house, they're living different lives. So I have three girls myself. I'm sure at some point, they were teenagers. They're older now.
Mhm.
But yeah, I experienced some of the things that I was like, man, I need to dig deeper into what was going on.
Mhm.
It was not about them. It was not about me. It was not about the fact that they were younger. It's about the environment. So that's how I got into this work.
Mm.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you do?
What do? I do a lot of things, but anyway, I help parents and teenagers move from overwhelm, frustration, and power struggle into creating a relationship that is mutually respectful. Everybody feels that they have spoken their piece and create that relationship and connection that will carry them beyond the teenage years.
Mm.
That's what I do for both of them. But when it comes mostly to teenagers, which is where my heart is that I help them understand what is going on beneath their behavior, help them, give them the language for the feelings that they're feeling, the
Mhm.
emotions that are going on, and also give them tools that they can withstand to build an identity that will be able to repel or to help them stay grounded when they are pressured, peer pressure, social media, or anything like that. So I work with them to understand what they're feeling, give them the language, and give them the tools to overcome all those obstacles to be who God created them to be.
Yeah. I mean, I think we all need a language to help us understand what's going on with us. And I
Yes.
think the simpler the language, the better. It's in the simplicity that we really connect.
Yes, that
Yeah,
is so true. That
yeah.
is true. Yes.
So maybe you can share either from your experience as a coach or even as a parent, just a moment in your own parenting or in your work where you really saw the tension of those two worlds uh, with teenagers.
Yeah, thank you. I have the privilege of being here
Mm.
in the diaspora and seeing the two worlds. I know how it is to grow up in Kenya and to bring up my kids here.
Mm.
Those are two different cultures, so to say. For one, the time I was growing up, I'm
Mm.
still growing up. The
Mhm.
time when I was growing up, we were, and my daughters have told me this, and I know we're going to talk more about this, is that we were not taught how to speak for ourselves.
Mm.
We were either seen, we were neither seen, we were to be seen and not to be heard,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
But when it comes to bringing up our kids here, they are growing in a culture that is built for connection.
Mhm.
right? They are in a world for connection,
Mhm.
either through social media. And I always say that, they are in a community that influences them mostly to speak, to be heard, and to actually truly speak their mind.
Yeah.
So that is the clash that I see a lot with, us bringing up kids in the diaspora, is that when our child speaks their piece, we see that as disrespect.
Mhm.
Because number one, we have a poor relationship,
Mhm.
or I should say, I'm not going to generalize here, but it's universal, a poor relationship with words like respect.
Yeah.
Respect was mostly in my growing up was that you do not talk back. Even if you're disagreeing, you just have to be quiet.
Mhm.
So when a child is feeling disrespected and they speak their piece, we see that as disrespect. So that's some of those things, poor relationship with words like respect, not understanding that the child's most is mostly influenced by the culture that they're growing in. That is the misunderstanding, and it brings disconnect with between parents and teenagers in the diaspora.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a big deal. And, I'm sure even those who are watching and listening, even those who are in Kenya,
yeah.
find a huge percentage right now are taking their children to schools that value that kind of culture of speaking up. And I like what you say. We don't have a good relationship with words like respect, with words like authority. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it becomes the structures are very rigid, and sometimes we don't even know what it is we are carrying ourselves until it's triggered, you know?
Yes,
Yeah, they
yes.
speak to us a certain way. So I know you
Yeah.
do help not just teenagers look inward, but parents look inward as well. And so what are some of the other challenges that you see that parents face when they raise children across culture?
Um, Another thing that I see is, which is also like a continuation from the last topic, is understanding that a child could have a value that's different from yours,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
right?
mm-hmm,
Accepting that becomes hard
mm-hmm,
because a parent says, under my roof, under my rules, right?
mm-hmm,
And we forget that a child is already whole, they're their own individual, and they can also have their own values and their own beliefs, right? So that is another thing. And then another one that I see is that sometimes parents, we are confused as to what part of our own culture we should be bringing into the new generation,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
For instance, if a child comes, say, for instance, I have visitors in my house,
mm-hmm.
right? And they're coming from afar, right? So, what used to happen in your household when adults are speaking?
You hush or you leave even. You
You
can't,
leave, right?
yeah, you can't be in the same,
You can't be in the same room,
yeah.
right? And
Mm,
maybe this is an aunt that the child really bonds with,
mm,
but because they are an adult, they can't come and stay there. I
mm,
don't know what was behind that, but that is a disconnect that I find. They struggle with that.
mm,
Another one I see is that it's still on the same thread of what to bring into the culture, is that we do not give our children a chance to discuss. We don't parent with them, right?
mm,
We we do not ask our kids their opinions.
mm,
What do you think about us having dinner tonight? What do you want? Would you like to have dinner tonight? Or how about the color of what do you want the color of your room to be?
mm,
Because we do not value their opinion, and I find that to be kind of like a problematic,
yeah.
because what that teaches a child is that my voice, it does not matter, my emotions don't matter. It's what they say, they being mom and dad, or mom or the dad, what they say goes. There's place for that, but when it's everything that they say goes, that does not sit well with the teenagers.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. And then they also do struggle with identity, and sometimes we don't really see that. I think we see the values that we're trying to pass down, and that's it. So do you have
Mhm.
any examples of struggles with identity and belonging in your work amongst teenagers?
Um, I don't I don't really work with mostly that. When it comes to identity, I know what everybody thinks about, like LGBTQ and all those things.
Yeah,
I do not touch that
yeah.
because I think that is a personal value for everything.
Mm,
But identity, when it comes to a child, like I said, is that does my voice matter?
mm, mm,
Who am I?
mm,
Right?
mm,
When a child comes to a parent and says, Mom, I I don't feel good today.
Mhm.
The first thing that I've seen parents do is minimize that,
Mhm.
instead of digging deeper, what is going on, because underneath every behavior, every word is something that's going on. You and I know that. Instead of digging deeper as to what is going on, they start minimizing. Ah, you'll be okay. When I was your age, I was able to go to the river and carry the buckets of water.
Yeah.
But truly,
They
what is
start the
going on is,
comparison.
yeah, the comparison. And that's another thing too. Teenagers suffer a lot from comparison.
Mm,
And sometimes it stems from the language the parent is presenting,
mm,
right? For example, a child can come and say, oh, I got a B today
mm,
in math.
mm,
Instead of seeing that B,
mm.
they would ask, so and so got, what did they get?
Yeah.
Or why can't you be like your brother who brings A's all the time?
Mhm.
When we start comparing kids,
Mm,
siblings,
mm,
that brings what? Sibling rivalry.
mm,
Yeah. When we start comparing them from our own experience when I was your age, that negates their being, like what is my identity right now
yeah,
instead of what you were as a teenager. Because seriously, what I find with parents is that sometimes we forget how it was for us when we were teenagers. Sometimes that is genuinely forgetting or just selective. You don't want to remember how it was when you were a teenager.
that's a very powerful statement and very real. I don't even
Mhm.
know if it's just sometimes, but pretty much we have forgotten. It's like we've pushed it, either consciously or subconsciously. We've pushed it
Yeah.
somewhere and we are only focusing on what this child needs to be. But who are you and how did you show up as a teenager?
And I like what you said, what this child needs to be.
Mm,
So how I translate that is that the parents' need
mm,
come before
yeah,
the child's
yeah.
needs,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm,
We forget what the child needs because we start comparing. We want them to get A's, we want them to be engineers, we want them to be pilots, we want them to be all these, but who is the child,
mm,
right? And that's another disconnect too I find in the diaspora, and I'm sure this is universal everywhere.
mm,
Parents focusing mostly on academics,
mm,
so much on academics that children will do what the parent wants. Like, for example, here, when somebody finishes 12th grade, they go to the university or college, right? So a child will go to college, do that computer science, and I've seen this, and then come up the day of the graduation from the university, they tell mom and dad, here's your degree, I've gotten it. Now I'm going back to do what I wanted to do. Waste of time and money,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, there is just someone who said the same exact words. So one of the speakers here just used this
Really?
exact example. Yeah, so
It's a problem.
yeah,
It's a
it's not
problem.
new.
And to go back to what you said, what have I seen in my work here
Mm,
that actually is a disconnect between culture? See what we were talking about, a child not being able to speak.
mhm,
There was this young gentleman. He was like a pressure cooker in his brain.
yeah.
And then when the dad came and said, you should have gotten a B, you should have, coulda, shoulda, right?
Mhm.
And guess what the child did? He blew up and slapped the dad.
Wow.
So tell me,
Mhm.
what did you think the dad did?
Slap back.
So that is how I saw, and I was like, there's something going on here, right?
Yeah,
So that is what some of the incidents that brought me to do this work.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
even my own child telling me, you guys were not taught how to speak up. That's why you're so triggered every time we say this, that, and the other.
Tell you, these kids can tell us in our faces. Just
They
like,
humble you.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah.
I think there is
Mhm.
so much work on our side that we didn't sign up for that we have to do. And I have a lot of
Yeah.
compassion for parents, our generation, a lot of it because of that, because we are coming to
Yes.
this with a lot of preconceived notion, with a lot of, for lack of a better word, cluelessness in how to manage this generation. Even though we have our wisdom, we have all the things that work for us, but there's also a lot of those gaps. So I
Yeah.
celebrate you for the work that you're doing, especially in the diaspora space. And
Mm.
I'm imagining
Thank
that
you.
there are some misconceptions that parents in the diaspora that just come up, misconceptions and myths around parenting in the diaspora. Any that you would like to share?
One of the myths is that, are you talking about the parents or the teenagers?
Just parenting in the diaspora space, so it will be either way.
Some people might think that parenting in diaspora is easy,
Yeah.
but it's not.
Mm.
It is one of the hardest things. And one of the things that makes it harder is because, and I wrote it down, is that we are not able to, how do I best put it this way? We are here in trying to learn the culture
Mm-hmm.
at the speed that our children have already overcome or they have already learned. So sometimes we're trying to catch up with the parenting of the kids at the same time catching up with the society, the systems, right?
Yeah.
And that is really stressful for a parent.
Mm-hmm.
It is very, very stressful for a parent.
Mm-hmm.
You're here trying to run, America, trying to learn the American systems that you don't do this, you do this.
Mm-hmm.
And the child, sometimes, you find out your child already knew about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're like, Mom, you can't do that here. But because we have seen that, like going back to our previous conversation, that our parent is the authority,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we might see, oh, this child is undermining me.
Mm-hmm.
But I urge every parent, when a child is coming to you with a conversation like that, just sit with that. Don't answer, just listen to what they're saying, because that can save you a lot of time and maybe from trouble,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It is a very interesting period of time that we are living in now that, because they say that it took about 7 years for a generation to change or anything,
Mm-hmm.
we are living in a time that everything is moving even beyond the lightning speed.
Yeah.
And we have kids to parent,
Yeah.
teenagers with their
Yeah.
hormones and everything. So I have a lot of grace for them.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So help us who are listening and watching just understand some of the things you do with parents, the kind of work, what are some of the tools that you use? Just give us the spiel.
Thank you. So I like the parents to think about themselves as the bridge between the child coming from childhood into adulthood. Be that bridge that will stand strong for them and build the foundation. That way they can cross over to adulthood with grace and with what they need to go forward.
Mhm.
Right. So using the word bridge,
Mhm.
think of the bridge B as the build the emotional safety.
Mhm.
Have an emotional safety. Every time your child comes to talk to you or comes to tell you something that you truly feel that you are getting triggered, don't answer them
Mhm.
that time.
Mhm.
Just chill, right? It is hard to do. If you like chocolate, go get a piece of chocolate and chew on it in your closet or somewhere.
Yeah.
But truly learn to build emotional safety for your children, because tomorrow when they have bigger, today they are coming because the boyfriend stopped talking to them, or the girlfriend, or they had something small. Those small things, if you learn to build that emotional safety, tomorrow they will come with something big, and because they know they can come to you, they will, or you will not feel left out, or you will not regret, oh, I wish they came talk to me. So
Mhm.
that's a B.
That's
The
good.
next one is recognize their world.
Mhm.
You cannot go into a room that is very, very cold and not notice that it is cold. You're a human being. That's the same thing, right? It's an analogy, but it works the same thing. Recognize your child's world. What have they been dealing with the whole day, right? Our children these days, they walk with a computer in their pocket.
Mhm.
What has that computer been feeding them? That's the environment they live in, right? So recognize their world and meet them where they are. Don't just have those preconceived ideas that I'm the mom, I'm the dad, whatever I say goes, right? And the next one is inspire them and also initiate respectful dialogue.
Mhm.
And a respectful dialogue is where a child does not feel shamed, criticized, right? Belittled. It's a conversation that they feel, oh, my mom actually listened to me. My mom actually heard what I said.
Mhm.
My mom did not cross boundaries that I have set for myself, right?
Mhm.
Have those, initiate those respectful dialogues. And then you have to develop trust. Trust is earned. And I always joke that you could be on the phone with your girlfriend, talking, talking, talking. And what are you talking about? You're telling them about the secret your child told you. Do you think your child will respect you, will trust you next time? No.
Mhm.
Learn to guard your children's secrets, because that is what I mean by, having those building those the bridge, building a strong bridge. They have to be able to trust you. You can't just go somewhere, you're crossing and you see that the bridge is broken on places. You can't cross there, you're gonna fall. You will fall in the valley, right? So have that develop that trust. And also, when you're guiding your children, guide them with clarity. Do you know what they're talking about? Or you're just assuming because at one time you were 16-year-old, or you're forgetting. For example, let me give you one, right? When a child says at your, let's not even go with teenagers, you see your kindergartner or your 7, 8-year-old comes say, hey, mommy, I have a boyfriend. So to your mind, because of maybe what you used to do or how you were brought up to understand what a boyfriend or a girlfriend is, you've already gone there. But your child is what? 7 or 8-year old. Try to understand. So what does a boyfriend mean? Right? Same with teenagers. They could be hanging out with their friends who happen to be boys. They could be hanging out with their friends who happen to be girls. Instead of assuming the extremes, just come to their world and try to understand, right? Ask curious questions, know exactly what they mean without your own giving your own ideas. So get the clarity and then you can guide them. And then empower growth. This is empowering growth for yourself and for your child. Figure out what kind of growth do they need at this time. Do they need to know how to make chapati because they have mastered how to make ugali or what? Take that same concept. Have they mastered how uh, to clean a room completely or whatever you do in your own house? Everybody's different, right? Have they mastered that? Then what did you? And when they are growing, you are growing too as a parent of a teenager. One thing I see that is disconnecting too is that we are so quick as parents, and especially men who are technologically wired, they are so quick to embrace the technological advancement and all these other kind of advancement. But yet, when it comes to psychological and all these mental health things, they are slow to embrace it. So
Mm,
that's what I do
mm.
in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I know it's a mouthful, but I get so passionate talking about it that I kind of lose time. I hope you're still on time.
We are doing just fine. I mean, I love that you have a model that you use. And
Yes,
the model actually, a model helps us to remember, it gives structure and systemizes what it is
yes.
that you do. And so, in terms of now examples of how that plays out in everyday life, maybe in a coaching relationship that you have had, or how it can play out in everyday interactions, how does that look like?
So I'm going to give you an example of a parent who approached me, and this is classic of how parents how I actually landed into coaching parents because I was only doing teenagers.
Mhm.
They come and say, "I want you to fix my teenager,
Yeah.
fix my child."
Mm,
Okay, well, I'll fix your child. Let's stick to the root of it.
mm,
And most of the time, after I then call all of them together. If the child has both parents and they're willing to both come to the conversation, the initial conversation, I, after several questions, you truly get to understand if the teenager is the one that needs help. Of course, teenagers always need help with something, right?
mm,
But most of the time, it turns out, for all the reasons we have named above, the parents are the ones that needs to come to the table and have these conversations. And I'm sure you have experienced that too. So when I work with teenagers, I normally have a 12-week program.
mm,
And in these 12 weeks, I get to show them truly who they are. I start with showing them who they are
mm,
and what they need as opposed to what everybody else says,
yeah,
right?
mhm,
Think of a jar. You cannot read the label when inside the jar.
mhm,
So I take them out of the jar to read the label and see, truly identify themselves for who they are and who they want to be as opposed to what everybody else tells them to be, right? Because it's noisy out there.
mhm,
It's noisy out there, and they are the generation that is really misunderstood
mhm,
and they need a space for somebody to listen to. So we work with them for 12 weeks. And at the end of the 12 weeks, actually on the sixth, seventh week, the child is thriving in that they know who they are. Then they're working towards bettering themselves, empowering themselves, and becoming better people. So going back to the conversation, I did not, when the teenager, the mom who came and told me they want me to fix their teenager, after I put the pause on the teenager and worked with her, and that saved their relationship. And this was not a teenager, 10, 12, 18. No, this was a young man. He was in his 20s.
Yeah.
So we don't have to wait until our children are in their 20s as parents to go seek that help. Come seek for help. So when I work in my program, even for the parents, it's sectioned into three kind of modules where we work on your head, which is emotional intelligence, and you know what your thoughts and everything. Then we work on your hand, your feelings, right? And then we work on your heart. What's in your heart? How are you parented, right? We work on our generational patterns, right? Attachment. How did you attach to your caregiver? All those are some of the things that we work with, because how you attach with your caregiver is how you show up today. And that is why a small thing that your child says triggers you. So instead of transferring that generational pattern to your child, let's stop it right here. That way your child does not need to come to me with their teenagers, right? So the parents program is also 12 weeks and the teenagers program is 12 weeks. And they mirror each other because most of the time I work with family units. Yeah.
And the issues are similar because at
They are.
bottom line, it's really about how we are relating, how we are attaching. I see when I was reading through your profile, it says, you integrate active listening, emotional intelligence, positive intelligence, conscious parenting, and then the insights from attachment theory. That is so much needed. And especially when we are struggling with the identity. And in this case, for me, identity is a lot to do with our cultural identity between two worlds. That's deep work
Yeah.
we are doing.
It is, but I thank God that, He put me in this world for this work, And I had the first-hand experiment with my own teenagers, my own kids. I was their homeschool parent, everything. So I got to see all kind of things, even in our homeschool communities. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I'm grateful. I thank God. Yeah.
Even as we touch down, what words of encouragement and hope would you give parents in the diaspora who are really trying to navigate raising children between these two worlds?
I want to encourage them and know that they are not broken. Your child is not broken. You are all whole. You are just missing some tools that will move you from point A to point B. You can do it. As you embrace the world of technology advancement, also embrace the advancement in the mental wellness. I don't want to call it mental health. It's not a disease, it's mental wellness. And also remember that your child's home is their first community. And that being their first community, how they relate at home is how they will learn to relate in the world. So be encouraged. You're doing the right thing. You're working so hard. I know how it is to work hard in diaspora. But be encouraged that, you got this. Do not lose heart. Seek for help wherever you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And spoken like a true veteran because you've been in this space for 21 years plus. We were just talking and you were saying you were just finishing with your little one, the last one.
Yes,
Couple of
yes. My 21 years of homeschooling are coming to an end on the 16th of this coming month because I get to graduate. And I'm going to have a very big party.
Yeah, well, we celebrate you and well done. Keep up
Yes.
the amazing work that you're doing. I think one of my biggest takeouts for me in this session, among the many, especially, okay, the bridge. I love the bridge, the structure you give to your work, but the example that you gave of the mom that you helped together with your son. And what really stood out for me is that this son was in their 20s. So it's never too late, and start somewhere when you're being intentional and committed to doing the work. Thank you very much. Any last
Yes.
words, Florence?
Oh, intentional, being
Mm,
intentional.
yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing in Stawi.
Thank you.
This is much needed, and thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to seeing you sometime this year.
Sure, looking forward to that. And anyone who would like to get in touch with Coach Florence, I will have all her information together with the summit resources. So look out for her information and get in touch with her. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Thank you, you too.